Hey guys, so today I'm going to be going over how to more or less abuse the raid system for profit, as well as score high with guilds. Um, Most of the Japanese players, at least in the Discord server, probably already understand how this works, but this is kind of more like a preview for global players because raiding will be coming up. Maybe in the next couple months along with guilds, and you're going to want to know how to best profit from these because the actual profits you can get from raiding is absolutely absurd. So, the one thing I want to point out, and I'm sure that Global isn't going to understand this terminology, but there used to be something called stamps in raiding. Uh, Gumi has pretty much removed the stamps. Honestly, they were probably way too profitable for the player. Um, I quite literally got like a couple 5-star Nensos. I pretty much max Kaigened almost all my 4-star units with them and made like tons and tons of just general good pieces of equipment and items, etc., etc., etc. It was absolutely insane the profit you got off of running stamps. Since we don't have that anymore, we need to do things a little differently. So when Global starts getting rating, I will do a separate video on how to get through stamps, but this will be centered more around the future and just kind of how to build your teams, as well as how to max profit. So basically, the way it works is there are 2 to 3 areas in the raid, and each area is going to have 2 to 3 of these wanted enemies down here, as well as an area boss. And when you clear out all of those, at least I think it was 2 to 3. I feel like one of the raids had 3 and that was it. But anyways, once you clear out the area boss, you move on to the next area, and once you clear out all of the area bosses, then you proceed to the next lap. When you go to the next lap, the enemy's HP is going to increase, and it's going to be harder and harder to kill them. As you can see, there is a timer up there that says about 10 minutes and 30 seconds. That is the timer for my raid orbs. It works very similar to the way it works in Arena, except instead of resetting orbs on the daily reset, you get 1 orb per hour, and it's use it or lose it. Once you have 5 orbs, the clock will stop moving, and you have to use those orbs if you want more. So if you want to maximize your raid potential, through just pure free-to-play, non-gemming orbs, you are going to need to be in every 5 hours or so to deplete those orbs. Um, there are other things to do in raiding aside from using those orbs, and there are different things that do and don't use those orbs. For instance, if I go into my own, this is a Fire Gargoyle here, and if I were to fight him like this, I would use up an orb. However, there is another system called the assist system, where you can assist either your guild members, friends, as well as just completely random people in killing their raid boss. And the first assist does not cost an orb. The second assist and later does. And that is how we are going to abuse this system for profit. So the ideal situation is you use all of your raid orbs for your own gain. You want to drop all of your raid orbs into your own bosses to get as high as possible. Most of the big rewards are going to be on completion of the areas, specifically completion of the lap. And I know a couple people were asking how I got so many resources such as gems and Zenny recently. It's because of raiding. I've made, oh god, I don't know how many gems, but I've made well over 200 million Zenny from raiding in the last like 3 or 4 days. So let's go ahead and look at this assist here, because this is where you're going to make the bulk of your profit. So what you want to do is you want to go down here and you want to kind of pick out what's a good target. And to know what isn't a good target, the idea is you want to be able to auto it, and you want to be able to auto enough damage that you get good rewards. Rewards are based on the percent HP that you do to the boss. So if I go here and take a look at this lap 14 Taurus, as you can see, the thing has like almost 2 million HP, and there's only 735,000 left. Most big rewards are going to occur at, I believe, 50 and 75% of HP dealt. So since it's below 50% HP, If this was just a completely random person, I would not attack this most likely because the profit margin is relatively low and the HP is obviously extremely high. Now, this particular person is part of my guild. Hey Tetsu, and so I would want to attack him in order to push his laps higher for rewards later, and I'll explain that a bit later. So let's go down here to some of the randoms because they have generally have like lower HP, lower laps. And let's say you go through here and you don't see any that you like, you can just click the refresh button here, and it's going to pull up a brand new set. Okay, so this one has 38,000 HP. And while this isn't a great target profit-wise, this is a good target for other reasons. Because its HP is so low, I can almost instantly kill this thing, which means that I invest little to no time and pretty much don't lose anything by attacking this. So let's go ahead and quick kill him. Alright, so he's dead now. So you get a torch for the attempt, and I did almost 40,000 damage. And that isn't really going to be worth anything, unfortunately. However, I did finish off the kill, and on completion of the kill, he's going to drop me a pink torch, 250 raid coins, and 250,000 zenny. So think, that was very little time invested, and I just pulled out 250,000 zenny out of nothing. However, when the raids first start out, a lot of the bosses have very low HPs, so you can hop in and do 50-75% of a boss's HP relatively easily. And then some of them will drop like an additional 10 gold ingots, among other things. So you can actually get over 1 million zenny per hit on a raid boss if you know what you're doing and you have good teams set up to deal with it. The raids are just a massive zenny just injection into your bank account, and I get a lot of my Kaigen zenny through raiding, and this is why I pretty much never run Gold Rush Pro anymore. It's because this literally costs no AP. If you're doing assists, it costs 0 raid orbs, so you're literally using no resources at all. You're pretty much autoing everything, and all you have to do is find the bosses you want to kill. Now, you need to take advantage of raids really early in the process. As the raids go on, more and more people are going to be up on higher and higher laps, which means that it's going to be harder and harder to profit from doing exactly what I just did. However, there are other ways to profit from raiding, and this is where guilds come in. So the guild edition is relatively recent. Well, the guilds being added into the reward pool for raiding is relatively recent. They didn't used to be, but as you can see here, there is a ranking system, and obviously I am not ranked very well, and that is because most people, if you want to rank well, you're going to have to gem your raid orbs, because you simply just don't regen them fast enough. And I've got a decent number of assists and whatnot, but the personal rankings are not what matter. What matters is your guild rankings, and in this particular instance, our guild is ranked 104th. So unfortunately, we got knocked out of the top 100. But there are rewards associated with raiding. So like the top, so many people are going to be getting gems and additional raid coins for another raid shop. And these raid shops often include like elemental frags, sins, among other things. Just a lot of good stuff that you're going to want. So you do want to place relatively high, and in order to do that, you are going to need an active guild, because The more you assist your guild, the higher and higher you can go. Once you start getting into the high HP raid bosses, you're not going to find randoms who are going to assist you. You're pretty much only going to be assisted by your guild. And by going in here and attacking Tetsu's Taurus, and if a bunch of the other guild members attack his Taurus, he only has to use one raid orb on that Taurus, and theoretically we should all be able to kill it using the minimum amount of resources. And that is the gist and theory behind raiding and how to score really high. Now, if you take a look here, someone took out my gargoyle, and it was random this time, but that was just because the gargoyle was an easy one-shot, which means someone could hop in, get some quick zenny, and get out. And in this particular instance, I hit this gargoyle once, and I got 7 gold ingots, a couple torches, 50,000 zenny, and some angels. So, like you can see, it's just bursting with zenny. There's just so much zenny to be had. There's really no reason not to raid when it's available. So I'll just hop over to a raid shop right here. So in more recent times, they have introduced the raid shop, and I don't have like the after raid shop, but this is like the concurrent raid shop, and as you can see, it's going to have plenty of things such as the Kaigen elemental shards, rainbow flags, some Kaigen collabs and horns, or collab sins and horns, as well as some shards for the collab units. A basic equipment shop. I don't normally use this that often, but you can. And some of the stuff I bought out, I already bought out the Rainbow Kaigen collab frags, as well as the elemental frags, and a couple of other things as well. And you can get plenty and plenty of raid coins by doing all this. And you're going to have this achievement thing where the more raid coins you get, the more and more you're going to get back from it. So it maxes out at 50,000 coins, and the rewards steadily improve as you go through. There were plenty of gems, elemental frags, and a bunch of other fun stuff that I've collected the whole way through here. And once I finish this lap, I'll be completely done with this, and I'll have achieved all the rewards. But that's also where I got a lot of these gems from. So in general, and basically the TLDR for raiding is you always want to use your own raid orbs for your own bosses. You always want to do a single assist without any extra assists on your friends and guild members if possible, or otherwise some very low HP random mobs. Like this mob right here, it's a magic golem, so I can pull up a magic light team here real quick. It's only got 50,000 HP. The thing is gonna melt, and I'm going to get basically the full rewards for this because this is a new player. He went and attacked it once and put his golem up, which means that anyone can attack it now. You just hop right into the map, you take out the boss, you profit. It's not a very hard concept to understand. The stamps do complicate things a little bit, and you're going to need to know some very specific information on how to deal with stamps, because they were very, very profitable during the Attack on Titan raid, but they were really painful to abuse. At least, they became painful to abuse because it was so easy to abuse them. So that's really all I have for this. Not much else to say here. The raid is pretty much on the back end of Japan right now, so if you haven't already started getting into it, it's going to be relatively difficult at this point. But there's no reason you can't hop in, grab a couple extra zenny, and walk out. You are going to need full-fledged mono teams for this, but as far as the actual team building goes, you're going to want to focus on the fire team, because fire is just the superior raiding team, and that's specifically because of Black Killer Masamune among other units. I'll just quick pull up my raid team here, and this isn't ideal per se. This isn't the ideal team, but in general, as you can see, I have Carla, I have Loopy, I have Daisy, Black Killer Masamune, although she's not a berserker right now, as well as Dorothy. I just had Kaya in here for no particular reason other than to die quickly, but you'd actually want to have like Emma in this slot, and really all you want is you want Black Killer Masamune as well as a bunch of people with a bunch of different fire resist down spells. And if you got the collab unit this time around, Cheryl, she is an absolute monster of a support that you're like, I've seen like pictures of Black Killer Masamune dealing like over 100,000 damage in a single hit because of the stacking fire resist debuffs as well as the buff from Cheryl. But in general, the way to do damage to raid boss is you stack elemental elemental resist debuffs, and if it's a different skill, it'll stack with a different resist debuff. And once you have all of those stacked up, you'll be able to do absolutely insane damage to the raid bosses. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for raiding today. Hopefully this kind of gave you an idea of what to expect. Raids will be probably released with the Attack on Titan collab in Japan. I'm sorry, in Global, and it's fairly likely I'd say that Global is going to get the Attack on Titan collab. Global hasn't really missed a collab up to this point that has occurred in Japan, so I don't see a reason why you guys wouldn't get that collab. I will say that when you get the Attack on Titan collab, make sure to pick up a couple of extra teacups. I have found them quite useful. It is a pretty good piece of gear, and it has 7 speed, 5 slash damage, and plus 7 to giant damage modifier, which basically means you're going to be doing more damage to raid bosses with this piece of gear. I do quite like using it. Unfortunately, Mikasa's Scarf is not quite as good, but it still could have its uses, as well as Aaron's Key. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.